Welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, we're diving right into something absolutely fascinating today, the architecture of a seriously efficient, completely local AI journaling agent called ScribeJay. If you've ever wondered how to automate the digital record of your life securely and silently in the background, you are going to love this. We're going to break down exactly how this system is built, how it processes information, and why it's designed the way it is. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to look at Wren versus ScribeJay, exactly what ScribeJay is, its three-step pipeline, a day in the life of this agent, and finally, safety and the porch. All right, part one, Wren versus ScribeJay, the architectural split. So to really get ScribeJay, we got to look at the problem it was built to solve. Picture this. Before August 26, 2026, there was just one single AI named Wren trying to do absolutely everything. It was chatting with the user while also burning through massive processing budgets just doing mundane background journaling. I mean, it was wildly inefficient. So the developers split the system in two, which gave us this brilliant core philosophy. ScribeJay writes the record, Wren reads it. Keep this quote in your back pocket because it perfectly captures how these two systems work together without stepping on each other's toes. This split is a masterclass in separating concerns. Think of Wren as the interactive agent you actually talk to. She answers questions, books meetings, sets reminders, calls tools, the whole interactive shebang. ScribeJay, on the flip side, is totally unattended. It just runs silently on a schedule, writing daily records into files and calendars completely in the background. By splitting them up, Wren's interactive tool budget is fully freed up. It doesn't have to waste brain power on passive, automated record-keeping tasks. Moving on to part two. What exactly is ScribeJay, the silent archivist? Now that we know why it exists, let's look at what ScribeJay actually is. Basically, it's a silent archivist. It's a dedicated, automated journaling AI agent whose sole job is to keep a durable, permanent record of daily activities. We're talking everything from what code was written to what websites were browsed. And here's the absolute kicker. ScribeJay never talks to anyone, literally no chat interface at all. It just wakes up, does its job, and leaves behind this beautifully organized trail of calendar events and markdown files inside a secure vault. Technically speaking, ScribeJay is what's known as a pipeline agent. So unlike a traditional chatbot that loops back and forth, right, where it thinks, calls a tool, waits, thinks again, ScribeJay operates in a highly predictable, highly constrained way. It processes tasks linearly, there's no complex tool registry, and there are zero conversational advance loops. It gets its instructions, executes them step by step, and it's done. Part three, the three-step pipeline, how the archivist actually works. Because it's a pipeline agent, literally every single task ScribeJay does follows the exact same hyper-optimized mechanical loop. Step one is gather. This is where deterministic Python code fetches the raw data, like git logs or browser history. Python handles all that rigid, structured stuff, the dates, the URLs. Step two is complete underscore text. This is just one single bounded call to a small local large language model. The LLM's only job here is to draft, summarize, or score the text. It doesn't have to figure out logic or complex formatting. And finally, step three is write, where the system simply saves that final output to a Markdown file or Google Calendar event. Now, what is ruthlessly efficient about this setup is that sometimes that middle LLM step, it is entirely skipped. For tasks that are pure data mapping, say logging a Strava workout to a calendar, or just mapping sent email metadata, there's absolutely no natural language that needs summarizing, so ScribeJay just uses Python to map the fields directly, zero AI tokens wasted. It's a great reminder that you don't always need an LLM to build a really smart automated agent. This breakdown perfectly illustrates how different tasks flow through that pipeline. Take AI chat learnings. ScribeJay gathers local chat logs, uses the LLM to summarize your accomplishments, and saves a Markdown file. But for Strava download, it completely skips the LLM call. It just fetches the API data and creates a calendar event. No AI needed. Meanwhile, for daily commits, it uses Python to gather the logs, the LLM groups them into readable project bullets, and then it writes the file. It is just a beautifully optimized machine. Okay, part four, a day in the life. ScribeJay's 24-hour cycle. So we've talked about the architecture, but what does this actually look like in the real world over a 24-hour cycle? Let's rapid fire through ScribeJay's early morning routine. At 4:30 a.m., it wakes up and summarizes yesterday's AI chats. At 4:45 a.m., it calculates the hours you spent coding with AI and blocks that time on your calendar. At 4:55 a.m., it logs all the Git commits you shipped. Then, at 5:15 a.m., it reviews and categorizes your Chrome browsing history. Guys, it is silently archiving and organizing your entire previous day's work before you even open your eyes. And here is exactly where all that gathered data lives. Your browsing history, your liked YouTube videos, metadata about who you emailed, and just a quick aside, it's just headers, no email bodies for privacy, and your Git commits. All of this is distilled down and saved into specific daily markdown files in a local vault. This builds the foundation for the entire ecosystem. Because remember our quote from earlier? ScribeJay writes the record, Wren reads it. These outputs become the durable, searchable record that the interactive AI will read from later in the day when you actually ask it questions. But wait, it's not just morning text files. To show you that ScribeJay actively organizes the visual elements of your life too, look at its afternoon task. Every day at 5 p.m., the calendar colorizer runs. ScribeJay looks at your calendar events, guesses the categories based on your preferences, things like work, fitness, or travel, and it automatically patches the events with the correct color codes. It keeps your life visually organized without you having to manually color code a single thing. How cool is that? Finally, Part 5, Safety and the Porch, Maintaining the Security Boundary. Now you might be thinking, managing all this highly sensitive personal data, emails, code commits, browsing history, that requires incredibly strict security. And you'd be right. The developers created a boundary called the porch that dictates exactly what ScribeJay is allowed to touch. It has super strict import boundaries from the main interactive system. Basically, it can only access safe foundational modules, like your preferences, file storage, and the basic LLM loop. It has absolutely zero access to Wren's chat features or active consequential toolsets like sending emails or booking appointments. This is absolutely crucial because ScribeJay reads untrusted input, like web transcripts that might contain prompt injections. By keeping it locked on the porch, untrusted text can literally never trick the system into executing dangerous tools. So, what does it cost to have this intelligent, highly secure, fully local archivist running 24/7? Between $1.35 and $3.15 a month. Yep, you heard that right. That is the estimated electricity cost of running a modern, energy-efficient M-Series Mac Mini as a headless home server to power this entire system. You really don't need massive, expensive cloud subscriptions when you have an optimized local architecture. We've seen how ScribeJay separates background tasks from interactive ones, uses a hyper-efficient 3-step pipeline, safely guards your data on the porch, and literally costs pennies a day to run. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If an AI could securely, locally, and silently organize the entire digital record of your life while you sleep, what would you build with your newfound focus?